Welcome to High Heels and Hay Bales, where polished meets practical, legal meets lifestyle, and debt meets dirt.
I am Kristen, your resident farm mama, keeping it real about motherhood, homesteading, and laughing our way through the chaos.
And I'm Adrienne, aka the Ladylike Lawyer. I'm here to help you make sense of money, debt, legal life, without the boring fine print.
So kick off your shoes or boots or heels and let's get into it.
Is episode 4 now? 3,
It's
4?
episode 4.
Something
I think
like that.
this is episode 4 of our second season.
I think so, you're right. And today we are going to talk about social media and why we are crazy enough to do this basically as a living, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how we started and the downfalls and the good stuff. We're going to give you some of our tips and tricks, even though we don't even know how it works sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think either one of us ever really set out to be a social media influencer or a social media personality. But it definitely appears as if we're moving in that direction. And so we decided to kind of stop and explain to everybody, how we got here. I've been attending a lot of conferences lately with people who are, really kind of into the same thing. And obviously we're dipping our toe out there. And I think a lot of people have questions about what life is like for somebody who's making a lot of content all the time.
And is it worth it?
Yeah.
That's another big one. Like, when I started I've always been on social media because 'cause I'm millennial, but I started with Facebook, and I grew a business on Facebook, and I had thousands of friends on Facebook, and then Facebook, I hated it, so I quit, especially for a million reasons. But I wasn't gonna do TikTok. Hands down, refused. I said, "Nope," and then I did. And I was like, "Oh, this is kind of fun. Maybe I can do something with this." And now I'm here.
Okay. So that's your lightning fast trajectory.
Mhm.
I would say that I think one of the things that you and I have in common, and I would say that this probably applies to a lot of people in this space, is that you and I both have severe ADHD. And I personally think that that's part of my journey, part of how I end up here. But I was always, I'm not a millennial. I'm a Gen X. I'm solidly in my 50s at this point in time. But I grew up. My children grew up, and as soon as Facebook and AOL, right, all these things started to come into play, I always loved all of them, and I always liked like reality shows. We talk about reality shows, but I liked like Big Brother back in the late 1990s, early 2000s
Well, I
ish.
did too.
Um, and so I was always interested in watching, what's going on with people because I'm super fascinated with that. But I was always friendly and outgoing, and I was outgoing, and I loved putting stuff on Facebook. I loved showing people what was going on, not showing off, but more like showing my family, let my family see the kids, and just kind of living my life out loud. I'm a live my life out loud kind of person. And I also said I was never going to go to TikTok, but I never went to any of these platforms originally to be a business person. That's not why I went there. Did you like open TikTok? Did you go to TikTok for the sake of actually starting a business? Was that your intention?
Not at all. Actually, I got on TikTok because everybody was sending me TikToks, and I finally had to download it. I mean, at the time, it was when it was really all the 7 second, when it first started in 2020. Thinking back on it, I wish I had done it then, because where would I be now? I mean, think of all the people that started way less than what we have going on. But I finally downloaded it, and I wanted to make content. But at the time, funny story, stuff was going on in my marriage, and I didn't know what I could post and what I should post. And I didn't want to post my daughter, who was only 5 at the time, I think, or 6 or something like that. And I had my fabric business, and I would post about that, but nobody was really interested in it. And I just kind of played with it, but didn't really do anything until I realized I could do like different trends and lip syncing. That's where I actually started. I would take other people's sounds and lip sync, and then I would start getting views, and I was like, "Oh, I kind of like that. That kind of makes that hits that button that I need to hit every day." So I did not intend to do anything with it except just share it like I do on Facebook, like you do on Facebook.
Right, right.
That was what I did. That was how I started it. And it wasn't until I hit maybe, I don't know, I had a video that had like 5,000 views and I was like, "Whoa, people will watch me?" And then I had a video go viral and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And that came with a whole other set of crazy that I'm sure you know. But, I had that idea, like, maybe I could do something with this, but it took me over a year to be like, "Yeah, I can do this."
What's interesting is, yeah, I mean, like, I went to TikTok because my children were graduating from high school. It was 2020, right? We were in the midst of COVID, and so my kids were going to TikTok, and I had already lived through the Snapchats and the Instagrams and, all of these things. I was trying to stay on top of all of these apps that my kids were participating in and playing with, as they were growing up. So I liked being I'm technological a little bit and super dramatic and creative. And I think a lot of people go to social media just to for a way for their creativity to come out. And I would say that's what I was doing, right? You were doing the lip syncing. Like my very first video on TikTok was me running. Like I was doing video of my feet and like these transitions and the sound. And I was so proud. Like, it was so proud. It looked like the opening to a movie. And I was really addicted to the creativity. And I had, for so many years, I'd seen Instagram, and Instagram just seemed so fancy and glossy. And, I didn't have any of that. Like, I wasn't selling anything. I didn't have anything fancy or glossy. And I'm not a show off. Like, I don't like showing off things. Like, I find it very distasteful to be like, here's my car, or look at this fancy thing I'm doing. I never really liked that. And so TikTok, I began to understand, was the more gritty, real version, whereas we all started to understand that Instagram was like this glossy, fake kind of, reality. And I really liked that gritty, real reality. And that's where I was going to show everybody my running moves and my juicing. And I just wanted to be creative. I just thought it was fun. I never, ever intended to find an entirely new career there. I never in a million years would have thought that I would have left my job as a partner in a law firm after being the only female, after all 25 years of climbing up that ladder. I never imagined I was going to walk away from that. But that's really what this all did for me. It totally changed my life and how I practice law now and what I do. It's crazy.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on that. We've talked about this before with the whole it's grittier, it's more real life because you post those second 15 to 30-second videos and it's just real quick. And it's that dopamine hit that
Yeah.
everybody has become addicted to. And that's one of the problems is it's an addiction.
Yeah.
But when I started my TikTok, I was doing fabric things. I just had the baby who's now 4. And so at that time, I would post things with her or things I made for my kids or sewing videos or whatever. And then I was like, I'm going to be a homesteader and started posting videos of planting my garden. And then I started growing this community of people that were doing that. And I realized there was not at the time a very big homesteading, gardening kind of thing. There wasn't that community there, and I was like, I could build this. This would be pretty fun." And I met a lot of people that I have gotten really close to. They have my personal cell phone number. We talk all the time off of TikTok. And I was trying all the little things. I wanted to try doing mom content. I suck at that because I am not that great of a mom, or I am, but I'm more I'm more in the moment with my kids. Like I have my phone in my hand most of the time, but I'm not always recording what they're doing unless it's a
Right.
personal thing. And I'm glad that I did that because so many of the family bloggers, the mom vloggers, it's so cringy to use your kids as content. And I will say that 100%. Sure, my kids are in videos here and there, or you get the back of their head, or their voice, but you are not gonna see my kids on my content most of the time. I even went to Facebook and started taking pictures down of my kids because I didn't want their internet what's the word? I know the word.
Exposure?
Exposure, but it was their internet footprint.
Yeah.
You know, we all have that. You and I have a huge footprint. Other people have even bigger, but I didn't want my kids who didn't have the consent to say, "Yes, this is cool. I'm good with this." So, I kinda just went towards the farming and the gardening and all that other stuff, and I started teaching people things, which was cool even though I don't know anything, and it became once my business started failing, I was like, "I gotta find something else to do," and it just like I said, it went from there, it just kinda organically happened, and I think instead of focus or forcing it, letting it happen organically is the right way to do things, because if you force it, it's not gonna come off correctly.
It's interesting because the actual first video that I had that went viral was a video about a bagel. And I, to this day, I have no idea why it went viral. All my friends are like, that bagel video really, really put you in the trajectory. It was a bagel video. I don't think I'd even talked about anything legal at that point in time. But when the very first time, that's when I realized, the power of something going viral, right? And I was like, wow. But I tried to talk a little bit about the things that I did at work. And at the time, my law practice was predominantly, I was a workers' comp attorney. I was a workers' comp specialist. I did bankruptcy work my entire career on the side because I had to have that to help my clients. But I didn't think of bankruptcy as a big part of my practice. It was a small part of my practice, but when I tried to talk about workers' comp, nobody was interested. And I totally understood. Like I didn't like it either. But one day I mentioned bankruptcy and I just did one simple little video about a couple of things to think about. And that video obviously went viral. And that was kind of a big aha moment for me, right? The running, nobody cares. I could be on this platform and just do funny things and make funny little memes for my kids. And I could do this, or I, could maybe start giving some information here. And I had no idea that it was going to change my life the way that it did. I just had absolutely no idea that it would take the trajectory that it did.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, it grew this big, huge thing that has now become. But when your first video went viral, because this was my experience, when your first video went viral, did you have any people in your comments telling you you're a horrible person or telling you what's wrong with you or that you're giving bad information, which I'm sure you have? Because my one of my first viral videos, I did a family meal deal from Texas Roadhouse, and I just showed what it was, how much I spent. I had one of my kids, the baby was in my arms, my little one, my older one was behind me for maybe a split second. And there is something to be said about being a large person, a plus size person on the internet. People will tear you apart. And I did this video, and the comments were 50-50. It was either, "That's a fantastic deal. What a great meal, blah, blah, blah," or "You're too fat to be eating that. You shouldn't be feeding your kids that. They're gonna turn out like you." All this stuff. It was steak and salad. And I was like, "What that?" But the cool thing that happened with that was Texas Roadhouse commented on that video, which I was like, "Oh my god, I've made it." And then one of those hack reporting news places was like, "Hey, can we do an article on you because you had this viral video?" And I was like, "Sure." So I did that. It's been 3 years since that happened, and my brother, one of my little brothers, just Saturday said, "Hey, I saw you in a news article about Texas Roadhouse." I was like, "That was 3 years ago, dude. Don't hold me responsible for that." But I mean, so back to what my question was, did you have that kind of experience where people were negative towards you at that point?
Say absolutely, because I'm talking about a very controversial concept. And I have had all of the things, right? I've had people tell me that I'm ugly. A lot of people have a big issue with the fact that I have nose ring, right? I'm 54 years old and I have a nose ring in my nose, a piercing in my nose. Uh, People struggle with that. They want to tell me that I'm ugly and that I'm stupid and that I'm old. But I think being a lawyer, honestly, gives me a little bit of protection, to be clear. And I want to be very clear and honest about that because when I clap back usually about the content, right? And so I don't allow any air to come to anything that's being disrespectful to me, right? So I will block people immediately. Sometimes I'll respond to them and then I won't block them for a while so everyone can see my response, but then I'll block them. I'm just very quick to get people who are toxic off of my page, but that's because of what it is I do. I think that the reality is that the controversy for you is actually what keeps your stuff driving. It's almost harder because for somebody like you actually have to take it and you have to leave it and you have to let them people argue about it because that's really how the video gets more views. Whereas for me, I feel more controlling over my content, that I am trying to create a space for people to come and get truthful information. So I'm slapping down anything that's rude, cruel, disrespectful, because I don't want any of my followers to feel that. So it's kind of it is a bit of a different thing. I feel like a mother hen trying to protect everybody and peck at everybody who comes at my people. Whereas, but at the same time, I have to be honest and say that I don't get as much as the personal attacks. I think that might be because I'm a lawyer. I really
It
honestly
could
do.
be. I mean, and before I say anything else, one thing that I learned very, very early in social media is you have to have thick skin. If
That skin has to be so damn thick. I do not always have thick skin.
Neither do I, because that video, I was well aware for myself. Anybody could pick at me, but as soon as they got onto my kids, like the next video I made was we are not talking about my kids. We are not talking about, and that was right when I made the decision, okay, my kids are not going to be involved in anything. But you have got to have thick skin because there is going to be a comment one day that hits you just right. And you're either going to burst into tears and take it onto social media and look like a fool, or you're going to get angry. And that's going to go into the next piece of content you make. And you really have to be cognizant of that. Having that thick skin, I think a lot of people don't have that, and that's why they can't continue to make it. But I know even big influencers, like one that I absolutely adore, her name is Michaela Noguera. I've
I know
learned a lot
Michaela.
from her.
Yeah.
I love her. I actually have her point of view line right in front of me.
Oh,
Yeah, I got sent this PR package. I was so excited. She's been doing this for so long and she's been struggling with people tearing her body apart and tearing her looks apart and this. And she's just recently been really, really self conscious about all of that
huh.
openly.
Yeah.
And I think that's just another piece of her content there. That's what happens when you go to social media and you share any part of your life. It doesn't matter if it's your bankruptcy work or your farm. I mean, people have been freaking out about my pigs.
Mhm.
Like, there is a big balancing act, and you just have to be aware that not everybody is going to like you, no
I
matter
think
what you're doing.
you're absolutely right. And I think it also goes back to for people who do have ADHD, we tend to be overly emotional. We tend to have more issues. We tend to be extremely overly empathic. Sometimes you can see that in my content. You can see that I'm an incredible empath. I'm really trying to get the information for people, but you can also see when I've lost my when I've lost my control because like most people will tell you, don't respond, don't respond to the haters. Don't, but I can't help myself. I cannot help myself, Kristen. I cannot help myself. It
I will
almost
say,
becomes part of the I have to respond. And so I'm getting better about that. I'm getting better about not letting it personally bother me. Mm, right? But
right.
I'm trying.
I
Trying.
will say, as your friend, I can tell, even if it's just very slightly.
Yeah.
And I enjoy when
Yeah.
you get a little snarky or a
Yeah.
little clap back too hard. I
Yeah.
enjoy that,
A
because it
lot of
makes me
people
giggle.
do. A lot of people do because I'm very good at it.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
am very
Yeah.
good at calming down and finding the words that are gonna cut somebody to the core while still being kind of upbeat about it. I do have a skill in that lane
Huh,
about
uh-huh.
sarcastic anger. I'm very sarcastic. That's true. That's very true.
Same, same.
Well, I would say, okay, so I know a lot of people are hanging on our words here to see. So some early mistakes are that you didn't start earlier, right?
Right.
What other early mistakes can we help other people with?
Well, real quick, as far as I didn't start earlier, that is always gonna be the
Right,
case in
right.
anything you do. So
Sure, sure,
just
sure.
remember that. But, that's a good question. I think sticking to maybe trying more things and diversifying more, because I found TikTok and I was like, "TikTok, all eggs in this one basket." And now when I know we don't like talking politics, uh, but when the election happened this year and, Meta did what they did and funded things that, I didn't agree with, I was like, "Facebook's gone, Instagram's gone, this is gone, that gone." And then that bit me in the butt when we were like, "Hey, we're starting a podcast." And I'm like, "I deleted my entire Instagram with like 7,000 followers. Holy hell, what am I gonna do?" And so I've restarted Instagram, regrettably, and, I think I have like 12 followers. So that's on me, but truly diversifying your content, you can post the same content everywhere
Yeah.
because your audience on this app or this app, they're not gonna be the same. And so that's one thing that I've made the mistake of not doing. And I would suggest anybody who's even in the midst of growing accounts or growing your social media presence, stop just staring at one location to put your content.
Whether
Do
it's
it everywhere.
Instagram or
YouTube,
Pinterest or any of them. They're all Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Reddit, Snapchat,
although Reddit,
Threads,
Reddit is scary. Reddit is
Threads,
scary.
X. These all I mean, anybody who's got an account is gonna have an account on a lot of these platforms. And, I deal with it all the time. Somebody says, "Well, I don't use TikTok. I don't use TikTok." So you have to have your content someplace else. I figured that out not early enough as well, but I did start to diversify and start to build up and take these videos and take them over to other platforms. I started too late as well. That was a big mistake on my part. Another, I think a mistake that a lot of people have is not having a plan, not understanding what's coming next, not planning for the next stage in their life. One thing that happened for me is my account was growing, right? My TikTok account was growing. People are coming and coming and coming. And I got to 10, 15,000 people and I'm still working in a law firm and going to court and doing my things and I'm trying to do this stuff on the side. And I didn't quite know where I was going. Like, what am I doing here? So I got 12,000 followers. What am I trying to accomplish here? Because I wasn't selling anything, I wasn't doing anything. And um, I I was racking my brain trying to figure out what I was going to do with this audience that I was very authentically growing. And I started to realize that, the only thing I really wanted to do with this type of audience, people who are coming to me about bankruptcy information, well, now I need to find a way to get them as much bankruptcy information as possible. I want to find a way to monetize this in a way that is beneficial to people, but also helps me because I need to I spend a lot of time doing this. And so I thought a lot about treated my audience as a very fragile egg, right? And I didn't do anything until I felt like I had looked at a lot of options and I felt like I had an understanding of what I wanted to do. And really, what I ended up doing is I ended up creating a bankruptcy lawyer referral network that lawyers pay to be a part of because they see me interacting with my client with my followers. They see the amount of information these people are learning from me, and then they are better. They're clients that are kind of primed and ready to go. They already know a lot of the basics. And that was a step that was missing in the bankruptcy world. There's nobody out there giving truthful information, helping people understand it openly and honestly. And then once they do, they're like, what do I do now? And so I helped create a network that helps people go through the next steps. And it's interesting because I was just at this convention in Portland. It's called FinCon. And FinCon is a convention for people who make financial content, right, on the internet, whether it's blogs or podcasts or TikTok accounts or whatever. Some people are real estate agents. Some people are financial managers. Some people are trying to teach you how to make money through your accounts just on here. And this past just a couple of weeks ago, when I was in Portland for this, there was a guy speaking, and his name is Pat Flynn. Pat Flynn has a book called Lean Learning. And I had to look at it to make sure I knew what the name of it was. Lean Learning. But he spoke at our at FinCon. And Pat Flynn started a YouTube channel with Pokemon, right? He got really into Pokemon he was into it. He had his small children. He wanted to get his kids into it. And all he was doing was just some YouTube content about Pokemon cards. And his content started to pick up. A lot of people were interested. And he had this like throwaway phrase that he used. He said it's bad binder behavior because everybody puts their cards in a binder. And he had all these, he was helping people organize their cards and stuff. Well, that one phrase, bad binder behavior, got him a deal with a binder company who ended up creating binders. He's got this entire brand and life in this whole Pokemon world where he licenses and sells a bunch of stuff. And that's how he got where he is. And I think what I see so similar to my own situation is finding what you can provide for people who are watching your content. What is it that you can bring to the table that's something they don't have access to? My clients, my own bankruptcy clients, I struggled for years to try to help them find a car. And now there's a couple of companies that help you do that. So I work with them now because I love these companies. They are really doing work that I needed somebody to do in this space. And so now I've paired up with them. And so the resources for my bankruptcy clients is where I try to find the ways that I can make money in this lane. And while at the same time bringing these trusted resources to my clients, I am also still a bankruptcy lawyer too, half the time. So I
Right.
want to make sure everybody knows I'm an actual full practicing bankruptcy lawyer. But this is mostly what I do is the content.
And that is actually a good point because you've said that to me before. I had my original TikTok account that I was focusing on my fabric. I had like 2,500 followers on it. And I have my main account that I do all of my homesteading and TikTok shop, which is another way I monetize. It's my main
Mm-hmm.
monetization. And again, something I wish I would have done sooner. But when I met you and then filed bankruptcy and we became friends and started talking about all this stuff, I had talked to you about sharing my personal story on TikTok. And I started trying to do that on my main account and it just wasn't going anywhere. So I thought, I'm going to go to this backup account and see what happens. And you had told me, this is another trick you had told me that toward after the holidays is when people are like, "Oh, bankruptcy. Holy crap. Holidays are over. I got to do this now." And I wanted to disprove you. This is why I did what I did. You said this is when everything will pick up. So I think it was December 28th of 2024. I posted a minute and 10-second long video saying, we filed bankruptcy on this day, and this is what I've learned so far. And that video went mega viral, like 5 million views or something in like a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, what did I just do? That's crazy. But then I realized all these people were in my comments asking how I found a lawyer, asking this, asking that. And so then I started working with you
Mhm.
and the company that you created and created this whole other thing. And I still post content there. And almost every time, because of the content, it gets a lot of views. I've had several videos go viral with that content. And so I only focus on my bankruptcy story and what has happened since. on that account. And I'm able to bring what you do to other people through another, because a lot of people may not want to listen to a lawyer, but
Right.
most of the time you're tagged in all of my comments.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how, with all of the gardening and homesteading stuff, I started making content when I realized that's what I was going to focus on. I started saying, "Hey, if you want to start a homestead, this is what you need to know." And this is a lot of tongue in cheek, a lot of sarcasm, a lot of funny, but like these are the tools you need, like zip ties. I'm known as the zip tie homesteader. But, all of that brought so many people like, I really want to start a homestead. This helped me so much.
Yeah.
And so definitely finding what your audience needs about what you are focusing on is 100% necessary, regardless of what your content is. It really truly doesn't matter. It could be running.
I
But
agree.
like,
I
you
agree.
know,
Your core starts with you. I have friends who tried to start accounts just for the purpose of like becoming an affiliate, right? And we need to explain these things here in just a second. I don't think a lot of people know what all this stuff means, but she tried to start an account just so that she could make money selling stuff, right? And it just wasn't taking off. I know who she is, but nobody else on TikTok knew who she was, and her videos didn't suggest that she was anything, right? It was just very um, m- neutral. She was I don't want to say who she is, but she was a professional person, right? Let's pretend she was a dentist, okay? But she wanted to just do videos just trying to sell stuff. And I said, you have to create an account around your dentistry. And then you tell people how to keep their teeth white. And you give them free tips and stuff. And you help them understand, dental health and all this stuff. And then as it gets bigger, you start to partner with those companies that you already like and trust that you think are really good. You got to build the audience up first and get some trust. If you're going to do what I've tried to do, right? What I've tried to do. If you're a professional, you want to come into the space for a purpose of this. And she just kept saying, no, I don't want to put myself out there like that. And so it eventually, I mean, she never sold anything, I don't think, because she just couldn't get there. Um, let's get back to explaining kind of what some of these things are, right? So there's lots of different ways to make money through your social medias, right? You know, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, they will all pay you if you put content out and it gets lots of views. Okay. YouTube is going to pay the most, but I think a lot of people think that I make my money from TikTok, from the company TikTok. Uh, but that is not where I make my money at. My money comes through affiliate work with the car dealerships that I work with, and and I have a revenue stream from the lawyer referral network. Maybe I make some, it depends on the videos that I put out. Some months I can make $700 from TikTok, and some months I make $100 because their parameters for what they pay on is so weird. TikTok itself, is not really where I'm making my money. And you have a unique thing, and it's a little bit different than ours, right?
right.
Your situation is you are somebody who really is out here just trying to sell stuff, and explain what you do because I want people to understand that.
So, like Adrienne, I have a few different ways to make money. And really quick, as far as making money on YouTube and Facebook and all those other places, their requirements for being able to make that money, because Facebook is paying through the nose right now, they're really strict. And so that's a lot more difficult to get into. And I'm trying to build that in a few different places. But what I do is there's TikTok Shop. If you're on TikTok, all the shop ads, and basically TikTok has a program where their sellers will send you samples or you can buy things, and then you make a video on that, and every time one of those items sells, you get a commission. And I got really good at that really fast, but I was also in the tail end of when it was really lucrative, and now I'm kinda stuck because it's lucrative-ish, but it takes a lot of work now
Yeah.
because it's just a lot of work, but that is how I mainly make money from TikTok is the affiliate stuff. So I have there's shelves behind me. Adrienne has seen my insanity, and I get hundreds of packages a month of free samples or
Hundreds.
things.
Hundreds of
Hundreds,
packages
hundreds.
a month.
Just today was like 4. But and then with the holidays coming up, it's only gonna get worse, and I'm tired already. But, I also make money through, like, the TikTok creator program, which Adrienne had talked about, and that used to be very lucrative. But again, that has changed. So I had 2 or 4 videos go viral this month because of my pigs, and those videos should have paid me well over $2,000 a year ago. They paid me, I think it was $296. And so you can't rely on that.
Yeah.
But outside of that, there's affiliate opportunities outside of TikTok itself, different companies. And then there's also brand deals, which are really, they're not hard to get into. You just have to know how to do it. And I'm starting to learn because I did get my first brand deal.
Yes, you
But
did, girl.
so hey, but so the brand deal I locked in was with a GLP-1 company, and they do GLP-1 medications and other things and skincare and whatever. And I had to negotiate rates with them and everything. And I also get product to try and, or not try, to use. And it helps me in multiple ways. But the brand deals are where the real money is at.
Yeah. And your brand deal is with Amble. That is the
With Amble,
GLP-1. Yeah, you got your cup there showing
my
everybody on
cup.
on
Yeah.
on
Uh-huh.
YouTube. And you get paid a monthly amount of money plus you get the medication for free and you also get paid when somebody else buys it. So I
Right.
bought it. You are welcome. I bought it so that you could get so you can make some money off of it because I'm going to do what you're doing. But that in and of itself is a brand deal and that's your very first one. We're super proud of you, hoping that you get
Thank you.
more of those.
Yes.
Um and 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 so this is like the different ways, right? Most people who are in this, right, they are definitely trying to make money. And
Mhm.
one way that is really important is to collect emails, right? So everything that we talk about, everything that happens is called a funnel, right? You're trying to collect a big group of people and you're trying to funnel them down into exactly where you want them to be for the information or whatever. And so funnels, most accounts that you are looking at or most accounts that you're engaging with are a funnel trying to get you to do something that is going to get you to buy something.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's really how all of this stuff works. So not only are you trying to make money off of your affiliate stuff and making a little bit of money because of the quality of the video that's going up, but you are also trying to build a brand. Me personally, I've been trying to build a brand. So, when as the ladylike lawyers just started off as a cute little name, but it has become now really who I am. You have to be willing to live with whatever it is you start off with in the beginning, right?
'Cause it's really
And
hard to change after.
it's really hard to rebrand afterwards. So make sure you're doing that correctly. But my brand, has gotten me speaking gigs. I have more opportunities now. Obviously, I've been on a lot of podcasts. I'm interviewed a lot because of what I'm talking about and the way I'm talking about it. But well, what are the unexpected perks that you've had along the way? Obviously, you get a lot of free stuff.
Right, so that can also be a downfall. Honestly, so one of my favorite things is the community that I've built and the friends I've made. Without TikTok or social media, I would never have met you, most likely. I have friends that, are homesteaders and we bat back and forth information. Like I keep referencing my pigs. And I haven't talked about this yet because I just haven't. But we had a surprise litter of pigs the September 17th, and I panicked because I knew what to do, but I didn't know what to do. And with this community that I've built and all of the homesteaders that follow me and we pass information back and forth, I had 3 people in my messages saying, "This is what you need to do, this is how you need to fix this or change this or do that, and this will help." And all of that was able to help me succeed, and then I was able to take that information because those people don't really post content like this, and I was able to put that forth into my content
Yeah.
and get that information out. So when somebody else has a surprise litter of piglets, they aren't freaking out and have the best outcome. So that has been one of the biggest upsides. Plus, I've learned so much because even though you're a content creator, you still consume a
Right.
lot of
Right.
content to learn
Right.
how to do it, what you're doing wrong or right, whatever you consume.
Yeah.
And that is a big part of this. So just the education I've learned from all of this and sourcing information on becoming affiliates or brand deals or this, it just opens up a lot of worlds that I never expected to be a part of.
I would say that I think one of the unexpected perks is also the community. I am really strive to be very authentic and truthful and I would give away everything before I'd make somebody pay for it. I'm that kind of person. I'll give away all the information. But two important things. Number one is I've learned so much. I thought I knew everything about bankruptcy, but turns out I really know maybe half of everything there is to know about bankruptcy in Ohio. I am
Mhm.
learning that what I thought is different, right? Like things that I thought were true everywhere are not true everywhere. And so I've had to learn how to take that and kind of pull back and try to re-give information and advice that's more comprehensive to everybody around the nation. But I can also say that this was always a labor of love. And I would go on and I'd make at least two videos a day and go live. And I give my information and it can be a little overwhelming sometimes. But when bad things happened to me, the first was my husband's plane crash. I immediately went to TikTok. I immediately went to social media and, I told people what I was going through. And then of course that happened again 15 months later when my daughter died. And while these things have nothing to do with being a bankruptcy lawyer, they have nothing to do with the information that I'm giving people most of the time. The support that I got from the people that I had made relationships with, even just in passing, even just making a comment or saying, "You're gonna be okay, you've got this." These people came back and showed me support and love in a way that it was tremendous. And so it is surprising how much of a community you can feel a part of. And I think that's one of the greatest little unexpected perks is that I've learned a lot and I realized that I think there's people out there who would hide a body for me if I asked them.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do. I
Mhm.
know there are because I have given people. I've been, late at night messaging someone saying, "Ask your lawyer this. Make sure you call your lawyer tomorrow. Make sure you ask them this." And I know I love giving the help. Like I love giving information, and I'm just glad somebody will is there to take it from me.
I've experienced the same, all my content is mainly homesteading or the farm animals, whatever. And when all of this stuff happened with my marriage, it was like, hey, we've got you. Do you need anything?
Yeah,
We're surrounding you with support. We're in the same boat or whatever. And I keep saying I feel alone, but I know I'm not. And that definitely has helped get through everything so far.
yeah,
But just a tremendous thing for creators, especially because most of the time you are doing it alone. And I mean, creating the content, giving yourself, it is selfless to do these things
yeah, yeah.
for the most part.
The downsides of doing this, we've got trolls and I think you and I both talk about burnout, you know. I think I just went through a little phase of, for days I didn't want to make any content. I was tired of making this and doing it. I just kind of lost my mojo for a couple of days. And fortunately it comes back because I love it so much, but there is a pressure to be on, you know? And as a lawyer, I feel like, I do videos in my pajamas sometimes. I do videos when I look messy, but I try not to do too many of them to keep, so people understand who I am. But some days I just don't feel like taking a shower. I don't want to
Yep.
get cleaned up and make content. And I'm afraid if people see me in my pajamas too much, they won't take me seriously.
I think you're wrong there, honestly. Personally, I think you're wrong because they're not always are people trying to pick apart what you're wearing or
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, I don't know. We all know that I'm just the messy one over here, so I'm like, whatever, I don't care. But when I put makeup on, people are like, what? That's weird. So I know it goes both ways. Like people are like, whoa, 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 this is not what we're used to seeing. But yeah, that burnout thing is real. Like, I had a couple weeks where I did not care. I was like, I wasn't doing my TikTok shop stuff, and then I was seeing financially how that was hitting me, and I was like, "I still don't care. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was like,
I
"Okay,
care.
crap, no, I care again, I care again." So,
That's our
like,
ADHD.
it was. It really is. I think that does play into this. And so, it's still not perfect, but struggling with the burnout, if you are a content creator or trying to be, understand that that will happen regardless of what you do. Even with my farm stuff, man, I don't want to lug out a tripod half the time. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And half the time I just pick up my phone and I'm like, this is funny. And I record it. And yeah, but
We create
yeah.
content in a very similar way, but there are people do need to know that there are a lot of people out there who really control their content, who plan it out every day, who are very disciplined and who have a very clear goal and a path. Those are people who are, following along a program and trying to build a brand and things like that.
And that's probably why they're maybe more successful than us sometimes.
Well, maybe. I don't know that they're building the same deep relationships with their followers. I would say that. But we are just two examples, more similar than not, between Kristen and I, of really what's going on in this industry. The way I got into this was a guy reached out to me. Actually, the first people to reach out to me was a national debt relief company,
I remember you
and I
telling me that.
almost took it. I almost took that deal because it was the first one to come along. I was very proud of myself for not taking that deal and waiting another 6 to 8 months before the right thing came along, and I just kept going to my job. But somebody came to me and said, "I've got the beginnings of a," um, and I was like, "Well, let me, I want to fly down. I want to meet these people." And so I started meeting who was in it, and I realized they were all coming from our organization, and it ended up being the right thing for me. But I had to wait for it, and it had to be the right thing. And I just want to urge people that whatever it is you're trying to do, remain authentic. And if you are going to have to talk about something all day, every day for the rest of your life, it damn well better be something that you enjoy. I
Mhm.
love talking about bankruptcy law. So I get burned out some days, but this is not as much work for me. Work is like, editing the videos and getting it up and, but it's not work for me. And it's really what I enjoy doing. And Kristen, you're so creative and you're so dramatic that the videos you make have comedy in them. They have timing. You can tell that there's stand-up comedy in your family. But you understand the camera, and that's why you're popular with what it is you talk about, because you're very, very relatable. And I think that's why we became partners, because you're
I think
relatable
so
to me.
too. I think so too. Here's the thing. You've said authentic about 15 times so far, and that is the word. That is true. People can tell if you're being fake. People can tell if you're putting on a character. And if they if they think you are, even if you're not, they're gonna be like, "Oh, no, that's fake. That's a character. That's." I There is a place for that,
Yeah.
obviously. I
Yeah.
mean, we have
Yeah.
character actors,
Yeah.
but when you're trying to you have to choose, are you going to do that or are you going to be yourself and show the messy parts and the scary parts and the sad parts and the happy parts because people will relate to that. Like, I've I've only ever maybe posted 2 times when I'm sobbing, and one was about a turkey, but so many people were like, "I understand this is," it's just a part of bringing that realness and creating. I will say, let me finish this. It creates those relationships and those connections with people, but there's a downside to that too. Parasocial relationships can get real sketchy,
Yeah.
and parasocial relationships are where, okay, Adrienne and I are friends in real life, but, like, if we weren't and I was like, "Hey, Adrienne. Hey, Adrienne. Hey, Adrienne, let's do this. Let's go here. We should hang out. We should," and then it got, like, stalkerish, that's kinda parasocial, I think.
Okay.
Like, I'm
Okay.
terrible at explaining it, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's like people that think they're friends with, like, super huge creators that have no idea who they are, and they're, like, obsessed with their every move. That can become a problem as your presence on the internet grows. So that is another thing to keep in mind, that that also can be a problem.
Well, all dangers grow as your presence grows on social media. And one of the things that I've learned is that, the more I grow, the more knowledgeable my followers are becoming and the more detailed information they want and need. That shows that I've been doing a good job, but it also we're getting to a point where, I can't I kind of have to stick with the same things over and over, the basics. So that's interesting. It's interesting. But the nice thing for us is that there's always new people who've never seen us before coming through our content. So I've always got people starting from ground zero every single
Oh,
day,
yeah.
and that's really nice. But yes, the more people that are following you, the more criticisms, the harder, the more work it's going to be, and the more problems it brings. But also
Right.
brings good stuff.
I don't know how many times I've asked you, "Aren't you tired of making videos about how can I buy a car after bankruptcy?" I'm sure it's been about 15 times I've asked you. But no, that's as much as the bad parts we talk about this, it's fun.
It is
Like,
fun.
I wouldn't do it if it didn't push that button for me, if it didn't bring me some sort of joy. Yeah, the money is great. I mean, here's the thing, not everybody's gonna be a content creator or an influencer, whatever you wanna call it, and actually be able to leave their 9 to 5. Like, right now, with my separation going on and everything, Adrienne knows I panic about money constantly because I
Every
don't
day.
have every day.
Every
I
day.
don't Thank you. I don't have a steady stream of income. I have certain things that I get paid every month, but I'm like, that could all just disappear. What if this happens? What am I gonna do? And so now I'm at a place where, like, I probably should get a 9 to 5 job, and I'm trying. I don't want to. And I know that sounds really selfish and stupid, but this is what I'm good at. Like, I enjoy it. It takes, honestly, maybe an hour of my day total because I'm that quick with it. And I should probably maybe put more time into it. I don't know. But it's not something everybody can do to leave their 9 to 5, but if you work hard enough at it, like Adrian's done, I've made it so that I can actually pay a lot of my bills. So it is something that can be financially beneficial, but it has to be something you enjoy or it's going to make you miserable. Like when that time that I had a photography business and I loved it until I had to sit down and edit the pictures and I was like, "No, I hate this. This is the worst thing I've ever done in my life. I'm really good, but I'm pretty much really good at everything I do until I hate it." So
That's because we have ADHD.
exactly. Exactly. But yeah, like it's an interesting career path and I think everybody wants to do it. Everybody thinks for some reason they can do it, but it almost takes a special. I don't know if it's a special kind of person. That's not what I mean. Like a special personality to do it. There's
I
something for everyone, but, like, you have to really be willing to stick to it to actually get somewhere.
Which is why you really have to like it, especially for someone
Yes.
with ADHD. This can't be like a little hobby lane, right? I mean, it might be a little hobby lane for you. Um, and I want to remind everybody that it is. I went on to TikTok. I think my first video was 4.5 years ago. It was in the spring of 2021. Yeah, 4.5 years ago, and I left my job 15 months ago. Um, a year ago in July, 15 months ago. And last month was the first month that I was able to make the same amount of money that I had made 4.5 years ago, right? Like,
Yeah, though, that's
but I mean,
awesome.
it is awesome, but it doesn't happen fast. And I'm still a bankruptcy lawyer. And is, I'm not rolling in the dough yet, but I've definitely been able to find a way to bring in enough income to meet my needs right now. But it's fleeting, some days,
Mhm,
sometimes it's high and sometimes it's low. And it's just really depending on what videos pop off and stuff like that. And there have been some very, very, very lean months when I thought I'd made a very big mistake. So it takes
mhm.
some guts to do this too, to be able to stick
It
with it.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, sticking with it is a big thing. I mean, I know there's been several times where I'm like, "This isn't worth it. This is stupid. This is pointless," and then a video goes viral or somebody comes to me and is like, "Hey, I did this because of your content." Like, I had people tell me about their gardens, and they
Yeah.
were like, "I would never have done this
Yeah.
if I hadn't come across your stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess I am good at this." So, you can't let self-doubt creep in because you never know what's around the corner, and I think that's with everything, especially social media. I mean, if we all had started when social media originally popped off, we would
Right.
all be those top tier people, but at some point, those people fall off the map too, and new people come in, and they take the place, and it's
That's right.
a revolving door of sorts. Sometimes it's slower, sometimes it's faster, but there's a space for everyone,
Yeah.
honestly.
I agree.
I really believe that.
I think that's a good stopping point for this episode. And we're not going to get an update on your marriage because I think you did talk a lot about it during this episode. But be ready next week because we're going to be ready for an for an update on how is your separation going and is your husband still living in the basement?
Mhm, mhm,
Okay.
mhm. Yep, mhm. Sounds good. Sounds good. And yeah, this is probably a bad day to talk about that anyway, because 'cause I've purposefully made myself cry so I would not feel crappy all day.
Well, all right then. I hope you don't feel crappy. I hope you feel really, really good about how far you've come with your social media empire. How's that?
Yeah, I feel pretty good, and I think you inspire me to keep doing the things I do because 'cause I'm like, "How many times can I say this is how you prune a tomato plant?" Or, "How many times can I collect eggs?" It's the same thing every day, but I do it. I do it
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Because new
you talk
people.
about
It's new
right,
people every day.
exactly.
That's the
New
point,
people. It's
right?
like exactly,
If you didn't have
exactly.
new people coming through to educate, then you wouldn't be growing.
Right.
Eh?
Exactly.
Take the good with the
Yeah.
bad.
Mhm,
All
mhm.
right.
Alright.
On that note, I'm going to let you go, my friend. I'm going to talk to you next week. I think next week we're going to talk about lottery winners. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Is that
Lottery
or yeah.
people who squander all their money away. What happens to those people? What should
I'd
you
like to
do?
be one of
And would we all? We're going to talk about what you should do if you win the lottery, spoken from the lawyer and the bankruptcy expert. The
yeah,
bankruptcy lawyer has lots of information and advice for you.
she's already taught me that I'm wrong about several things that I thought I knew. So, that's gonna be a fun one. So, alright, so next week it is.
Next week it is. See you here.
Alright, see you later.
Bye.
Thanks for hanging out with us today on High Heels and Hay Bales. If you laughed, learned something, or just had a good time, hit that follow button wherever you listen.
Want more? Head over to highheelsandhaybales.com to catch past episodes, send us a message, or drop your topic ideas.
And of course, we're on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Come say hi, share your stories, and join the conversation.
Until next time, stay grounded, stay laughing, and stay out of trouble. Well, mostly.
See you next week.